lately here we've had a lot of trouble with the social welfare of Benson County coming in, taking children away from the mothers and fathers and grandmothers and so on like that, and threatening them to put them in jail if they don't release their children to the Benson County. And what's happening now on the reservation is if you don't give up the child to the Benson County welfare, they threaten to throw you in jail, and many kind of threats they have to cause us on the reservation.
We want our children and our grandchildren, but we are not allowed to keep them. Only last Thursday we attended a hearing where we were in effect told that we didn't have any rights, that Indian court did not have any rights over the child in question, who at one time had been provided for by Benson County Welfare. It's got to be such a mess that it just seemed like we didn't know where to turn.
Then the welfare will say, well, you just worked. Do you have any money left? Well, the man will say, well, yes, I have some left. I got some groceries, yes. Well, you come back in a couple of weeks, he says, when you need it. So in a couple of weeks or a week, they're down and out, nothing to eat, with little children in the house. And a one-room house, two-room house that's very cold, and they use wood and kerosene for lights. Well, by the time he goes back to the welfare, there isn't a thing to eat. Then they make out a slip of paper saying you can go to the local store and get your groceries. And when your check comes in 2 weeks, you pay your bill there. They have no choice but to go to the local store because it's the only place where they can get credit for the check that's coming. Well, this is the kind of life they lead. Finally, the children are always hungry and barefooted. Some miss school because it's too cold for them to get up in the morning. This goes on, and finally the father starts drinking. Can't stand his children suffering like this and being in this condition. It goes on, and the mother can't take it alone. Then she starts drinking. So what we'd like, really, is help for these parents that are discouraged and disappointed, and they turn to drinking. And on top of all this, the welfare takes the children, tells the parents, you're not fit to take care of the children. You cannot provide for them. We'll take them and put them in a home.
Today than any other group in America. Here is the harsh profile of poverty among American Indians. Unemployment between 40 and 50%, more than 10 times the national average. Average schooling, 5 years. Family income, $1,500. Housing, 90% of it is below minimum standards. Average age of death, 44 years. It is difficult for most Americans to comprehend the appalling conditions in which the nation's 500,000 American Indians live. There are Indian people today who live in abandoned automobiles and freight cars. I know one Indian family in North Dakota that lives in an outdoor toilet. An Indian child may die because the mother does not know what a doorbell is, and the doctor doesn't know that the Indian mother doesn't know what a doorbell is. As sad and as terrible as the conditions that Indian children must face today as they grow up, nothing exceeds the cruelty of being unjustly and unnecessarily taken away from their parents. Among more visible kinds of poverty, this problem has been neglected. On the Devil's Lake Sioux Reservation, approximately 25% of the children born on the reservation are eventually taken away from their parents to be placed in adoptive homes, foster homes, or institutional care. This is 50 times the national average. 50% or half of all the children placed in foster care in the states of North and South Dakota are American Indians, yet Indians represent only 3% of the population of those states. The Devil's Lake Sioux people and American Indian tribes have been unjustly deprived of their lands and their livelihood, and now they are being dispossessed of their children. This shameful situation should not be allowed to exist. Thousands of Indian children are placed in Bureau of Indian Affairs boarding schools, either because of a lack of day school facilities or because of the alleged unsuitability of their home environment. 80% of all Navajo children ages 6 to 9 are taken from their parents in order to educate them to the white man's ways. The delegation of Devil's Lake Sioux tribal leaders that have come...
Thank you. My name is Mr. Louis Goodhouse. Oh, here. First of all, I want to thank the Association of the American Indian Affairs of New York here. We're so very good to pay for our transportation and expenses to New York and also continue on to Washington, D.C. And I hope that you people don't include us with this Poor People's March in Washington, D.C., which is going on recently and still continuing on. We don't have nothing to do with this Poor People's March in Washington, D.C. I've been a chairman for the last 10 years, and all the time that I've been acting as a chairman for the Devil's Lake Sioux tribe, I've tried my best to keep the welfare workers of Benson County away from the reservation, and also the sheriffs of the Benson County and Ramsey County to keep the Indians alone on the reservation. But they seem to come on the reservation without the consent of the tribe and also the consent of the tribal council at Fort Houghton, North Dakota. And that's about all I have to tell you right now, so I'll turn it over to Mrs. Alberts.
Why don't you change chairs now?
Okay.
It is a little known fact that you people can keep your children if you want them. Ireland is the American Association of Indian Affairs again. We've always called him our guardian angel. A little bit dirty, he's got jam on his nose, so what? He's happy, I think. And in white families, I've seen the same thing, and the kids are happy too. They're barefoot out in the yard sometimes, and everybody seems to be all right there. The parents scold them, the foster parents scold their children too. I don't see anything wrong. Just before we left, two ladies came to me and asked me, we want your help, we need your help and the council to go with us because we want to keep our foster children. It's not the money we're after. We don't care about the money. They can even stop it if they want to. And we told them so, but even so, they're coming on the 15th after our children. That was yesterday. The advice I gave them, I said, take those kids and go somewhere else where they can't find you. It may be the wrong type of advice, but I said, and stay with it and hang tough, because when we go to New York, we hope we'll have a lot of help and come back and tell you that you'll be able to keep your children. Thank you very much.
6 years ago, my mom got my children. For 2 years, she had them there, and then the welfare took them away, and they put them in a white aisle. I mean, 1 and 2 in Devil's Lake, and 1 in Starkwater, and 1 around Tokyo there someplace. And then I tried to get them back, and I got my 3 boys back. I didn't get the girls back. I got my three boys back. And the welfare told me to take my kids back and move out of the reservation with my boys. So we did. We moved to Lisbon, about 200 miles from the reservation. I got my kids back there for about 4 months. And then my boy got hurt over there, and he was in the hospital for about 9 months. Got this, and then after he got out of the hospital, they put him in a Spanish people place. He's over there for 2 years now. And I never get to see him. And just last week they brought him over to visit for 5 days, or a week. And here the welfare brought him to our place just for 5 hours. And Mr. Goodhouse was there when they brought him there. And about 5:30 took him back. And the next morning he was supposed to go meet him on a train to Devil's Lake, so I was over there at 11:30. He wasn't on the train. So he must have taken him back to Fargo that same night.
What do they say to you when they come after the children, after your children? Do they give any explanation at all? How do they describe it legally?
You mean that 3 years ago when they took them?
Yes.
Well, my mom got them, and there's 2 months in that family, but she's getting help for them kids. And then, well, I got 3 sisters and 2 brothers. They're all living in the same place. And they asked my mom if she wanted to keep my kids or her kids, and I don't know what she did. She went to court twice, and the welfare took the kids.
When you say the welfare takes the kids, how is it done? Is it done legally through a court procedure, or how?
Well, they told me to. Well, at that time, 6 years ago, I used to run around. That's when my mom reported on me all the time.
So that's where Mama got my kids, and then they took them from there again. So then after, I got them back, and I was supposed to get them other 3 girls in August, and that was happened. So there's
A few homes coming up, ready to be moved into in August. But that's another thing we ran into last summer. A lady was told that she could not keep anybody except her own family, immediate family, and those were the terms of the contract under which she took a house. So I said, well, I thought that the health committee fought for these homes so that we could have better housing so we could keep children. But that's something in there that I think that should be just struck out of that contract. I think those people have a lot better homes than they had before, and that they were keeping the same amount of people then. Well, why all of a sudden they've got a bigger house and yet they can't keep that many people?
Now, what happens to an Indian child who is brought up outside the reservation and in white homes? What happens to them?
Well, I really don't know. I think we're just beginning to see some of see, this didn't come about till just recently. However, I think you all know the Thomas Whitehawk case. This boy that's going to be electrocuted in February for killing a white man, a jeweler. I think he was raised mostly in foster homes.
You think that,
White foster homes.
that he has no sense of identity or...
Probably.
I'd like to ask anybody,
Generally start about the time that everything starts freezing up. So then it takes about 2 years before they could complete a house. And right now they're repairing homes on the reservation, and they started out in April, and they run out of money, so there's about 9 houses uncompleted. They've started tearing down the house, and then they run out of money, so there we sit without a finished house.
how about among your people, is there any, is there a sense of hope at all?
No.
Is that a word, because of what Mr. Kennedy did?
Oh, yes, yes.
In what ways?
Well, it's, I'll say about 75% of our Indians on our reservation at Devil's Lake, Fort Houghton, are without homes. And since when they heard this program starting out of new homes and education, where everybody felt so happy about it.
Who do you hope to see in Washington?
Well, I hope to see the Bureau of Indian Affairs and probably get in touch with our senators from North Dakota.
I don't think I would be, but I think it's because I have a little more education. I'm a little bit tougher than some of these people. But they come to them and tell them, we're going to take that child. We're going to cut off your welfare right now. They could, and they do, and they have done it.
That's another one.
They leave people with great big store bills to pay.
For refusing to give up grandchildren, was it? To give up 3 children, she was jailed because she was that legal? No, it was not legal.
They claimed it was, and they told us it was, and we thought it was.
They can cut off welfare payments. They can cut off the payments.
They've done it.
They do it on the grounds. I have a letter from Benson County Welfare stating that they cannot in good conscience continue welfare payments or foster care payments to a family that they consider to be unfit to raise the child. Now, we don't believe that they should cut off, until they've got physical custody of that child again by a court, that child should be fed until that time.
What is the grand design?
I think it's
To make white people out of the Indians, I suppose. They figure they could start on the kids. They couldn't do it to us, so they figure they could do it on the kids.
Where's the welfare department finding these foster homes? That's a problem for any welfare department, is finding foster homes.
Oh, there's a lot of white people in North Dakota that have already raised their children, and then they're gone from the home, and so they've got a farm and lots of room, and space, and they figure they can get a child or 2 in their old age to maybe amuse them. I don't know what they want them for.
Could you give us some detail of the manipulation of the tribal courts by an outside?
The welfare people wake up a family, send one child to foster home.
We talked with quite a few of the parents, and when they were first married, and they had started having children, there was no jobs, and the housing was very poor. In the wintertime it was so cold, and there was only seasonal jobs, just in the summertime. Then in the fall, say about November, there's no more jobs. The employment office says there's no more jobs. So then they come home, they go to the welfare. Well, I'm out of a job now. And the couple will have some groceries left from his last paycheck, or maybe a few dollars left from his last paycheck. All the children, and divide them up in different homes. They separate the family, and they do not see each other. And at times, the parents are told not to go see the children, to stay away from them. One grandfather went to see his grandchildren, and he was told to stay away the second time he went. And he wanted to know why. And he was told, last time you came, you gave lice to the children. Now this grandfather here said he does not have such a thing as a lice. But this is the excuse they gave him, so he didn't go back. And if he did go back, they would pick him up and put him in jail. He's liable to go to jail. This is what they told him. Now we had a tape of parents that gave their talk about their foster children, and a tape about complaints about this welfare. And then we had written statements from different parents that we had in a suitcase with us, and our suitcase disappeared. It didn't get here with us. I was hoping we'd had that. And even the children have no respect, or they're afraid of the welfare. They call them day. One child was, I asked, he was 6 years old, and I asked him, I said, do you like to stay here? And he said, yeah. What do you call the lady of the house? And he said, Mama. What do you call the father of the house, or the man of the house? And he said, Daddy. What if they came to take you away? And he says, if they come here to take me away, I'll run in the woods. Them other guys are all going to run in the woods. There were 7 in that place. There's 2 homes there, and one had 5, and the other one 3. Yes, it was right on the reservation, an Indian home. And this little boy said, and I'm going to turn around and throw my spear at them. It seems the children don't like the welfare. The people, when a new car comes into the yard, they run in the house, and Mama, are they coming after us now? And they're always, every day and every night, when a car comes, they're afraid that they're coming now to get them. Because they hear the talk too. And the mothers told us, a lot of them, that they're getting, some of them are getting to be a nervous wreck. They can't sleep at night.